Friends will be right with you. We're just waiting for people to continue to join us and then look forward to beginning the program in a few minutes.
Jonathan?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Why? I can't hear you well, though.
You don't? You should.
Jonathan?
Yes.
I can't see myself and I can't, okay, I see myself, but I don't hear you well.
1 minute, I'm going to stop my screen share. Oh, I'm not. Hold on a second. How's that? Hear me any better?
No.
No, still?
Before I heard you really good.
I don't know why. Do you hear? But you do hear me, yes?
Yeah, but like very
faint. I'll speak up. When we begin, I'll speak up.
What happened?
I don't know.
Oh, speak now?
Do you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, now you hear me? Good. Maybe it was the audio there.
No. It was something here. I don't know.
Okay, good. Yeah, so people are coming in.
So they can watch me now?
I think so.
Yes, yes.
היי, מה קורה?
בסדר גמור, טיטי, מה העניינים?
בסדר, מה שלומך?
כיף לראות אותך כל פעם מחדש.
איזה נסיך. לא ידעתי שיש לנו גם אנשים מפה.
אני לא יודע מי עוד משתתף.
אני כאילו לא יודעת, אני מכל העולם, אני חושבת. נו? ג'ונתן.
מה? כל העולם מה?
גשר צר מאוד.
It's a lot of people from the US and Africa, right?
Yeah,
how many
mostly
people are
US
going to be here?
70 or so, just on Zoom, and I don't know how many on Facebook and YouTube.
Are we live on Facebook?
We're on Facebook. We're just going to ask folks, before we start, everyone going to ask, keep your microphones muted, so that way there won't be distractions of videos popping up like this. Adrian, why do we see your video?
My video?
No, it was Adrian. Okay, we're good. We're good. Bobby Brown is coming. Yeah, everyone's joining now, which is great. And everyone who's already here, thanks for being here. And we're going to be patient and get started very shortly.
Can you hear me?
I do. I'm not sure who that is. Oh, yep, of course.
Carlo.
We hear you.
Yes, it took a second here. Are you under snow in Israel too, like here?
We're having snow and we've had the power out twice tonight.
Yeah, well, I'm amazed I'm on this because I'm in Texas. And as you probably have read, we're in a major crisis here.
We've heard. I hope you're staying warm.
I'm one of the few houses. This is our motto is Nes Gadol Hayapo, because we're one of the few houses that has electricity.
Wait, what happened in Texas? Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good,
I'm looking forward to getting to know you.
Me too.
We had a major once in 100-year cold spell, and not only did we have a cold spell and snow, but all our wind power, the wind stopped, and all the wind power went out. So we lost 25% of the electricity for the entire state of Texas.
Oh my God, you don't have generator?
So people are sitting in homes, and it's in Celsius, it's 3 degrees in their house. There's no electricity. It's really lotov.
Wow, I'm sorry.
Yes, it's it happens, you know. But so this morning I saw the Israeli papers and said, "Oh, you guys are having snow also. Isn't that nice? We're brothers."
Yeah, it's happening here once in 100 years, you know. Just
yeah,
like,
so we're sharing.
Yeah.
But it's good for the Kinneret. I'm happy the Kinneret is.
Yeah, the Kinneret's been full for the last, I think, 1 year, 2 years, something like that.
Yeah, it's great for Israel. It's
Right.
wonderful.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
really is a baracha gedola.
Baruch Hashem.
Yes. Okay, I think we'll continue to admit people as they come in. I think I'm going to reiterate and just ask everybody to please keep their microphones muted so we don't end up having distractions either by audio or video. And we're going to get going. We're already live on Facebook and YouTube and recording to the cloud. So first of all, welcome everybody. We've had a little conversation. I'm following most of the people who are joining, and forgive me for not welcoming everybody individually. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Jonathan Feldstein. I have the privilege of serving as president of the Genesis 123 Foundation. Tonight's program is part of a series that we do called Inspiration from Zion. Now, before I speak about the program itself, just wanted to give a little bit of background about Genesis 123 to frame why we do this. First of all, our mission is to build bridges between Jews and Christians with Israel in ways that are new and unique and meaningful. And we do so approaching one another from a perspective of mutual respect, but from our respective traditions. Inspiration from Zion is a series that we launched this past year, of course, partly because we were stuck with the pandemic and not being able to travel and deliver our message in person as we had been up until a year ago. We've also launched some tremendous programs in the past few years, particularly Run for Zion, which up until a year ago was going to be a wild success, bringing 2 buses of Christians to participate in the Jerusalem Marathon. We have a program for Christian children called Verses for Zion. All of this is available at our website, by the way, genesis123.co. Verses for Zion, to connect Christian children with Israel through studying biblical verses that relate to Israel. And another program that's been a wild virtual success this year is the Global Prayer for Israel. We've hosted 2. Our third will be next week in conjunction with Purim over a period of 3 days. You're invited and encouraged to be in touch, to join us on these programs. And you can reach us again through genesis123.co or my email, gen123fdn@gmail.com. Now, tonight's program, tonight here in Israel, is unique on a number of levels. First of all, I want to thank our sponsors, as always, for your generous support, for helping us have the resources to make this program possible. Tonight's unique because we have 2 of the most beautiful Israelis here in front of you live. That was a joke, Titi.
I'm joking.
Yeah.
I thought like,
well, one of them at least. And we know that tonight will be informative and inspiring. Titi and I are now old friends. We had the opportunity to meet the other day in person, and really, I can affirm something that I want to say as far as a formal introduction, that the exterior beauty that you see is just mirrored by the interior beauty. She's so wonderful. And I know this is going to be an incredible experience, but we're not only doing this program today, as we've done our previous Inspiration from Zion programs, simply as an information. We're also launching a new program to benefit Ethiopian Jews, both here in Israel and who are still in Ethiopia, and hoping that we together can make a difference, a big difference through the sum of all of our efforts. There'll be an opportunity at the end to ask questions. I want to encourage everyone to please use the chat feature. And we will try to get to as many questions as possible, both here for those. I'm going to look to my left every now and then to see who's following on Facebook, and we'll try and get to as many of your questions as possible. We do hope that you will share this live, share this in recording afterward, so more people can see and be part of the message. One administrative piece, again, please keep microphones off so we can avoid distractions and Zoom having a way of popping things up that we don't want to be on screen. And one last thing that I was going to save until the very end, to introduce a friend who's here with us tonight, a good friend, Thomas Lee, TJ Johnson. TJ is here because he's going to do the prayer at the end of our event, but he's also here as my co-host. And especially with the power having gone out twice here in the Judean mountains, and on my fear that maybe I'll get thrown off. TJ is an actor, he's a writer, talented inventor, and a good friend. He's literally bled for Israel for another conversation. And one of the most fabulous things, then it kind of relates to our event tonight, is I can't wait to see the production of his movie called Albert and Paul, which is about the friendship between Albert Einstein and Paul Robeson. And for those of you in America, who most people know who Albert Einstein was, and Paul Robeson was a Black Christian leader, a very improbable friendship, and TJ's taken on this and done an incredible job writing the story that will be told, God willing, really soon. Now let me introduce our special guests. I'm really so happy, Titi, that you're here. Titi Ayanaw is famous because she was the first Ethiopian Miss Israel, but as you'll see from our interaction today, she's much, much more than just a pretty face. She's a passionate Jew and Zionist. Her life story and her outlook on life are really, truly inspiring. Titi made Aliyah, moved to Israel at the age of 12. We discovered in our new friendship that we made Aliyah in the same year, and around the time that she came on a plane to move here, I was here looking for work, so I could pick up my family 6 months later. And unlike my story, where we moved into a suburban house, she was sent to what would be considered a boarding school in some, but here in Israel, a very common scenario, a youth village. 3 of my daughters have worked in youth villages for at-risk kids, orphans, people who.
So it looks like Jonathan froze for just a moment. I'm gonna fill in the gaps until he gets back online. Jonathan, are you here?
Well, I'm here. Can anyone see me?
No.
Jonathan, we can't see you and we hear you very faintly. Would you mind attempting to adjust a couple things and re-engaging? Okay. All right. So it looks like Jonathan's going to rejoin us as soon as he possibly can. I'll pick up. Listen, you're in good hands. I've hosted television shows literally around the world, so you're in good hands. Wow. And that's why you actually asked me to co-host.
And you get in like very quick. You know what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And Titi, we're going to have some fun. And obviously we can't wait for Jonathan to rejoin us as soon as possible. We know that you grew up in Netanya, a beautiful city in the Mediterranean. Can you tell us a little bit about your first experience, your first awareness of being in this new place in Israel?
Wow. First of all, Good evening, good afternoon, everyone. I'm super happy to be here and share with you my story. And thank you for just saving the situation, you know. And I think the first memory that I have of me landing in Israel, it was super weird because I didn't know enough about Israel, and all I know was, you know, even I watched TV when I used to live like in Addis Ababa. Addis Ababa, it's the big city, the capital city of Ethiopia.
Yeah,
really?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
You had a connection there, or just you've been like in Addis Ababa?
So I'm a strategy consultant. The African Union is a client.
Oh wow!
So I actually consult at the, African Union in Addis Ababa.
Oh wow! Good for you. So you know when you eat injera and everything.
Oh, absolutely.
The best food ever, right?
Absolutely. I always get Dedic tips. Dedic tips are my favorite. I love Dedic tips.
Tips. Very nice. I like Shiro. Anyway, so I didn't know enough about Israel. All I saw about Israel was super negative, talks, wars, soldiers. But I had a fairy tale in my mind. They say in the Bible, when I, study and read, when I was in Ethiopia, they say the land of milk and honey. So all I had in my mind that Israel gonna be look like the chocolate factory of Willy Wonka. It's gonna be just chocolate everywhere. And I was a child. I had a fairy tale, and I remember getting down. Like we land in Ben Gurion in Tel Aviv,
right?
And all the people around me start kissing the ground, and I was super excited. And I had my grandparents waiting for me on the airport, and all I saw was on my way home all these monster buildings, and I come from a village. A couple of years I lived in Addis Ababa, but to see 40, 50 floors a building, I was shocked. It was look like for me that I'm in the future movie, modern movie. Yeah, so I was super surprised how many buildings and how many cars, how many traffic they have here. But in the same time, I was super happy, just to be in Israel and to join my grandparents. I think, yeah, this is the strongest memory that I have, the way home to Netanya and the house of my grandparents. And I didn't saw a lot of green, I come from Ethiopia. It's everything. They're very beautiful, a lot of nature, but here it was a lot of buildings.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jonathan, are you good?
He's with us.
Jonathan, I saw you.
He's on mute.
Now I'm not on mute.
TJ, I think you better continue.
Hi.
I'm back. Yeah, the power goes out. That's okay. It's just another little twist. You were doing great, TJ.
Yeah, he was amazing.
What? I heard the answer, but I'm not sure what the question was.
So Titi was telling us her first experience landing back when she was 12. After she got off the airport from Ben Gurion, just what was it like to be in Israel for the first time?
Sure. Titi, now you had said when we met the other day that you just sort of grew up knowing that you were going to come and live in Israel. Why is that?
Well, I lived in a village in my grandparents' village, and all I know and all of my family talk about is about Jerusalem, and our dream was coming to Jerusalem to live here in Israel, and this is what I know. This is what my dream come to be, and I remember my grandparents, they had synagogue in the village, in the middle of the houses, and we was super religious and we dream of Israel. and we dreamed to Medalia, to come to Israel. And yeah, so all I heard is that, you know, I love Ethiopia. We growing up in Ethiopia, but we saw ourselves as, you know, as a Jewish, and as a Jewish, we want to live in Jerusalem, you know.
What was it like the first time you actually came to Jerusalem? You came from the airport and went to Netanya, but when you actually came to Jerusalem, what was that like?
I did my bat mitzvah in Jerusalem. The first time that I was there, I go to the hotel and we did my bat mitzvah. It was crazy. When you come into that city, there is something that you're feeling. I don't know how to explain. Every time that I'm going there, I just feeling something in my heart. And I love to go into the hotel and then pray. And I don't know, I have this excitement. I don't know if you guys been in Jerusalem, but every time that I'm there, you are living like 20 minutes from there, of course, but I'm talking to our audience. And I think, I don't know, I feel like I was crying, I think. I was very excited doing my bat mitzvah there. And we did like small praying with my family. It was not something big. It was just coming there and praying, and we come back home. But I think I was crying the first time, and I don't know why, because I was like super, you know, I was a child. I didn't understand, but until today that I'm going to Jerusalem, I'm feeling something special in my heart.
How long, that first time when you did your bat mitzvah here in Jerusalem, how long after you arrived was that?
I think a couple months, maybe 4 or 5 months after. I was already on the school, and then we decide to go and to do my bat mitzvah there.
Got it. Tell me, what is it like as a child, but now an adult woman, and perhaps with your fame and career, but what's it like growing up here and maintaining an identity as an Ethiopian Israeli? Are there challenges? What do you feel? You grew up with your grandparents in Netanya, where the largest community of Ethiopian Jews are. What's the emphasis and importance of keeping the Ethiopian heritage here?
You know, I'm Ethiopian. I'm Ethiopian and Israeli. So for me, to being here in the first year, of course, I was focusing on like learning the language, learning a new culture. It was new holidays that we just keep 3 holidays: Rosh Hashanah, Pesach, and Yom Kippur, and it was a lot of other holidays that we just learn about them here. So I had a lot to learn. But you know, I study with the Ethiopian students, and Netanya, it's one of the biggest cities that, you know, I was not in Netanya every day because I was in the boarding school, so I used to come in the weekends to Netanya. But all the people around me was Ethiopian, and to keep being Ethiopian for me was not. I didn't really feel any special, you know, things to do, because like it was part of me, you know. I ate our food, injera and everything, and of course, like I did a movie when I was when I was in the high school. I did a movie, and sometimes you feel like you want to be part of the Israeli. You want to be like, you know, you want to fit in the society, but sometimes you lose yourself. You lose your heritage. You try to speak like other people's. You try to change your name. And of course, you have this. I had this, you know, not unconfident, but I had this in my mind. Maybe I need to change my name. Titi, it's like my second name. My first name is Yityish. So people calls me Yityish not in the right way. They call me like in the wrong way, and I hate that. Like people saying my name in the wrong way. So I go with Titi because it's much more easier. You know, it's just shorter. It's cool. It's cute. But you know, sometimes you want to be part of, and you can't forget yourself, but it's very important today for me. It's very important, like the big part of who I am. And today it's just, you know, it's because where I born, it's because my background, the fact that I'm Ethiopian, I'm proud Ethiopian, and I'm proud Israeli. So it's really important to keep your first heritage, you would say.
Sure.
Because, you know, you need to remember where you come from just to know who you are. So
definitely. No, definitely. And it's a challenge. But you've balanced that really well in your life. We were talking about it and how strong you kind of take after your mother in that sense. You're a strong woman and have a lot of self-confidence, and so you've done all these things. And we won't have time to talk about them all today. But one of the things that impressed me, you know, of course, you came as a child and you went to school and you learned Hebrew, which I don't take for granted. And you told me how even everyone listening, Titi's English is from self-study. She didn't go. I mean, you study a little bit in school, but this is very impressive. And I think in a lot of ways you excelled. One of the things that impresses me is that when you went to the army, you didn't just serve for 2 years. You served for 3.5 years and went on to become a lieutenant, commanding other officers. You didn't have to do that, but why was that something that was a priority in your acculturation and in your being Israeli?
I think, you know, in Israel, the army, it's take huge part of our life, because we all need to serve 2-3 years. And as a person, you know, I love this country and I want, you know, to give back to this country. And for me, it was not question of being, you know, officer or not. It's just like, I am in the army and I want to do like the best. And to do the best in the army, it's mean to say, like, to become a commander, to become an officer. And I saw the army as a something that I can also, like, you know, achieve from the army. Like, if I can be a leader, if I can learn more, if I can do more. So for me, it's just like, why not? You know, if I can be now, even it was like, I need to sign 1 year more, and you know, I served 3.5 years, and it's a lot. And we finish here the high school. We don't go to the college. We going straight to the army, and it's kind of holds you back. You are playing to the you know, to the real life, but for me, it was not question. I just want to do the best, you know, and to be, and also to be an officer in the army, and, you know, to salute to the flag, to the country that I am dream of, and to make an aliyah. So it was extra, you know. I feel really proud. So, and it also was super challenging, because I was a woman in male platoon, and I was the only Black woman, the only woman there. So I had around me 300 soldiers, men. It was tough, but it was fun also.
Good. It's again, like many other things, it's inspiring. But you also now kind of jumped into where I wanted to go. So right around the time that you were finishing the army, and I don't know the exact sequence, you became Miss Israel. So what was the sequence? How did that happen? How do you go from becoming a lieutenant in the army, commanding a bunch of men, to becoming Miss Israel?
It's really a funny story, because I was a tomboy. I never thought of being a model or something like that. And my best friend, Noah, she was my first best friend. And when I came to the class in 2004, my first day in the school, she tells me, come sit near, she invited me to sit with her on the table. And she told me, you're so pretty. One day I'm going to send you to the Miss Israel beauty contest. You're going to win, and I'm going to take the prize, the car. And she told me that in 2004. It's just like, for me, it was just joke, you know. It was like the joke that I have with my best friend. And I never thought I'm going to do it. And And of course, being in the army 3 years and a half, sometimes you don't take a shower for like 1 week, 2 weeks. It's serious. I had a really serious job. So you're not like, you forgot of being like, you know, model and feminine and everything. And when I finished the army, she just decided to sign me to the competition, and she didn't even tell me. So I just got the message in my phone, and that I passed the first audition of the audition of the competition, and I have been invited to the next audition. So I call her immediately and I say like, no, what you've done, like, well, you know, I'm not ready for it. You're supposed to ask me. This is my life. And she go on the phone, yeah, this is our life, and we need a free car. So it was like, we just start all this story as a joke. And I go there, and I remember the first day. I am 5'11". I'm very tall. And in the audition, when I got to the audition, it was like 2,000 girls. And I remember it was the first time in my life that I feel short, because all of them were super tall and they was wearing heels. Yeah, you saw me.
Yeah.
I am super tall.
I felt short.
Yeah, and it was the first time in my life that I felt like so short, and they was working with heels and everything, and I come with flip-flop shoes and like my brother t-shirts. I didn't know how to wear makeup, nothing from that. But
wow.
It started like being like super new thing that I'm doing and I'm trying, and it was like new sport for me. And 4 months after I won, so I guess.
Did you take it seriously at some? I mean, at some point you did, but where did it cross from just being fun and looking for a new car for you and your friend versus, hey, I'm going to be Miss Israel?
Well, I never thought I'm going to be Miss Israel. Even in the night before I won, I said to Noah, I told her, listen, I'm not going to win. So just bring with you like, stuff. We will stay the night on the beach. So she was like 100% that she was sure that I'm going to win. And she came with the flag, she came with the pictures and everything. And I think 2 months after we start the competition, I start to think, oh, there is more than, when you're not doing this for like, when you're not doing modeling, or when you're not dreaming of like being Miss Israel. So it's for me, it was in the beginning, it was a joke, and I didn't take it seriously that much. And then I realized it's not just they give you a crown and, it's said to you like you are the most beautiful girl. They give you a power, and they give you a stage to change, not just to change, my life, maybe change other lives. And I understand that I have a power to do something bigger than just being Miss Israel. So I start to take it seriously. And when I realized that, I start to push. And like I studied how to work with heels, to do makeup and everything. And yeah, and I won.
Oh, that's amazing. So that's amazing that you had the sense, and in a way, it's kind of like your military service. It wasn't just, you weren't doing something for yourself. You're doing something bigger to be able to make an accomplishment. So I think it, and I know I'm not the only one. You're a role model for a lot of Israelis. That night we were together, and I handed the phone when my son called from the army, and he's like, he thought it was my son-in-law. Joking. Oh. And then he realized it was you. And I said to him, he came home today. I said, did you know who that was? He said, of course, everyone knows who Titi is. You're famous and loved in the country. But you're a role model, and especially a role model for I think for the Ethiopian community, but I want to talk to you about that. And probably for Ethiopian children. Is that the case? And how do you play that out in your life?
I think the fact that I was the first Black Miss Israel, the first Ethiopian, and in the competition, they asked me why I come to the competition. And after I joke about the fact that I come for the car, I said that you know, Israel, it's such a multicultural country, and we have been already choose Russian Miss Israel and Moroccan and Arab, and I think like we are as Ethiopia, the Ethiopian community in Israel was when I was in the competition like 30 years, and I said this is the time to choose Ethiopian Miss Israel because we are a part of this country,
Right.
and we are a part of, you know, the culture here. And also like Black is beautiful, why not? Why I cannot be like the face of Israel? So I think the fact that I won, my community in Israel feel that they say you put us on map, and I think they feel like proud, and I had a lot of support from the Ethiopian community, and they feel like that one of them there is a representation for them in the fashion industry, in all over, you know, on the TV and everything. And so, you know, they cherish that, and I love the fact that, you know, I did that first. and it's just like making history for me.
Yeah.
And I'm involved with my community very much, and you know, I have my own project in Netanya. It's called Project Titi. It's for the kids in my neighborhood. Most of them are Ethiopian, and you know, I'm trying to be a good role model. Not sometimes it's good. I'm good, but I'm trying to be, you know, I'm trying to be involved in my community as good as I can, and to represent my community, because I understand there is a job that I need to do as someone that, you know, break the bridge and got there. So I think this is, I forgot, like, I answered to you, or you want me like?
You just covered a lot of it. That was perfect. That's exactly it. But also the human side of you. Like I think that everyone nod if you agree with me, but you're just seeing the human side of someone who's really wonderful and who we should all be really happy for and proud of. So yeah, everyone's nodding, so that's a good thing. Okay, so Tov, so these are the great sides. I don't want to belabor the point, but we know there's racism in Israel. We talked about that the other day. What's been your experience individually, in the community, among friends and family, and what do we need to do to repair that? I mean, maybe like you just said for yourself, you're as a role model, you're not perfect. Israel's an amazing country, but it's not perfect. How do we make ourselves better?
I think we can, yeah, as you say, there is racism in Israel. My community also dealing with the police brutality, and we have issues here, yeah, of course. And I think, you know, it's very, very sad to talk about racism, and just like to mention that, because we come to Israel and you know, I told you, like, my grandparents, they told me since I born, they told me, you are Jewish, you need to move to Jerusalem. We feel that we belong to this country, and we are here not because somebody did a favor and bring us here. We are here because we deserve to be here, you know, like everyone. And we feel like connected. I feel so connected to this country before I moved here, before I know it's Israel. So to come here and deal with racism is super sad. But I can say that we are, as a community, we are very strong and connected community. And each time that we hear about any kind of racism or any kind of police brutality, we go out and we protest and we change things here in Israel. We also, and also in Israel, you know, Israel, it's really small country. Each year since 1948, each couple of years coming a new people, like the Moroccan, the Ashkenazi, and I can say there is difference today, and there is kind of discrimination between the Ashkenazi and the Mizrahi, you know. You can see, like, most of the judges on the court are Ashkenazi, and there is difference between each community here. And I think my community deal with racism the way the Moroccan deal with racism when they just come to Israel, and the Yemen. And with us, with us is just a little bit different because our background is different than the other communities here, the other people that move to Israel. We come, you know, from the village. We didn't come with the you know, we didn't come with the education, and not all of us. And just the second generation here in Israel, you know, they go to the universities, they get better jobs, but me, I used to take my grandparents to the bank, and I am the one that explained to them how to live here. So there is rises, but I can say I studied in the IDC in Herzliya, and I can say every year that I'm there is much more Ethiopian that's coming and studying, and I believe, and I want to believe in 10 years, in 5 years, maybe 5 years is too ambitious, but in 10 years, I believe that my community will be in a better place, not because there is no rises, because we will deal with rises with education, and we will be part of this, you know, society here in Israel, and we will change things. And you know what? I'm super proud, because I think to be an Ethiopian and to belong to the Ethiopian community here in Israel, because we are the only we are the only Ethiopian, like the only Eda. Community, come on. I'm struggling with my English.
That's okay.
We are the only community that we are so strong together that we really change stuff here, because from 2015, we're dealing with police brutality. And I'm sure that we are not the only one that dealing with police brutality. Every week, like the Arabs also deal with the police brutality, but we are the only one that literally go together and protest about this, like strongly. And it will be like all over the news. We change, and we're talking about this in the Knesset, and we change things here. So I'm happy that we are so connected community here. We don't really let things to just pass. We're fighting, and I believe in Israel also, because we are like democratic country, and I believe when you are like fighting for something, in the end of the day you're gonna win. So I'm sure that we're gonna change the situation here for my community very soon.
Okay, well, we hope so, for the good, and look forward to exploring that with you in the future. That kind of leads into where I wanted to go with maybe the last bit of our conversation before we go into some questions. I want to remind people, please, to feel free to use the chat feature here. I'm trying to follow it on Facebook as well to see if there are questions, and we'll take as many as we have time for. But to talk now about the future. Friday, like less than a week ago, 300 new Olim immigrants from Ethiopia arrived. I get emotional. I'm a new immigrant. I'm not a new immigrant anymore, but I'm an immigrant all the same. I still feel new sometimes. When you hear, and it's a little bit different situation about new immigrants coming, what does it stir up in you? What do you feel, or is it just news? Okay, good. What's next?
I think the situation with the Ethiopian that left back in Ethiopia, it's very sad, because in one thing they leave everything. They leave their houses, their villages. They are waiting in Ethiopia, in Addis Ababa, to come to Israel, and they be left there for the last, I don't know, 10, 15 years. So, and only now, because the minister of the Aliyah, she's Ethiopian, she's amazing Knesset member. She changed, and she care about the community, and I really, really appreciate her job. and what she do for our community. And she's the one that start to move this, you know, she's the one that bring the people here. And of course, I'm happy they are back home, you know, and I'm happy for them because they are waiting there for many years. And I hope the Israeli government or the next prime minister and Plina will continue to bring all the, you know, brothers and sisters that stay back then, because it's sad. It's sad for them because they are stuck in between. They are not really feeling their home because they are waiting to move to Israel, and they are not here. So I was really excited that they are back home.
Well, we talked about this the other night. My dream, I never sent you the article, but my dream is that we have a couple of El Al planes on the ground and pick a weekend like we did in 1991, the year you were born, and just bring everybody home. But that's not up to you or up to me right now. But hopefully that will.
But it's a good idea, though.
It's a good idea, and especially where the planes are not busy and hotels are empty. I see that as a win-win. Maybe someone who's more powerful than Miss Israel will watch this and take the idea and do something with it.
It's politics. It sucks that it's politics, you know, it's a lot of politics. I think they can, if they want, they can bring them like in 2 planes. It's not 2, but there is not a lot of Jewish left there.
Right. Titi, what would you say that the biggest challenges are today for new immigrants who are coming?
Well, I guess it's the same challenge as any immigrant that's coming to Israel, you know, just to come here and feeding and be part of this, you know, crazy country. And first of all, they have the challenge of the corona now, but that
right.
it's big and it's crazy, and you know, it's all over the world. So I think their challenge will be, you know, learning the language, to fit in. I hope they will not deal with any racism, and until they will come, you know, until they will finish the ulpan, and then they will join the you know, the big society. I hope it will be less than racism and less than police brutality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. Let me take that question a little personally. If we were going back now to 2004, and you had just arrived, and you knowing now what you know, and if you could apply it then, what would be the 2 or 3 things that you would change in terms of how you were absorbed, or what you would have done differently in your own absorption?
If I know what I know today?
Knowing today, what would you have done differently as a 12, 13, 15-year-old girl, or and beyond?
Like if I know that I will be Miss Israel?
No, maybe, but what would you change to have made your own absorption here in Israel easier or better?
Well, I think, like, I love the fact that I was not in Ulpan, you know, because then I study, you know, by myself Hebrew, and I do it very quick. I don't know if I will change something. I'm not sure that I really got the question in the end, but you know, I love the fact that I have my grandparents here in Netanya, and I go straight to their house, and like I go to the boarding. I was lucky, you know, because I go to the really good boarding school, and everybody around me helped me. They was not mean to me, the kids. And I don't know if I will change something.
Okay, that's great. Good
It was super challenging, but I like the way it's happened because it was my way. When it was like, you know, I fight for this way, you know, but still it was a unique way, you know, to just be an Ola Chadasha here in Israel.
Yeah. For those who don't know, Ola Chadasha is a new immigrant.
Yeah.
No, that's okay. We'll do the translation. So actually moving on to just a couple of things in terms of you and your future. There's a great question from Christine Darg, who's our good friend and advisory board member. She's well, I'll just read what she wrote. She says, Shalom, this is fascinating. How great that you served in the army as Deborah, a leader. Which is, by the way, that's sort of what we talked about the other night, what biblical role models that you represent. I love that you took on the challenge of Miss Israel as a sport. Kol HaKavod, do you have future plans to do Hasbara on behalf of Israel to combat the lie of apartheid or a political career?
Yeah, I do. Yes and yes. Thank you for the compliment. And I do doing Hasbara behalf of JNF, Jewish National Fund, and I spoke over in almost 90 colleges, Harvard, Yale, all over the U.S. And I also was on Apartheid Week in Cape Town in Johannesburg.
Wow!
So I do Hasbara. It's not officially in the name of Israel. But yeah, I do it, and you know, I love to talk about Israel because I'm coming there and I'm talking about my story, but not a lot of people know what's going on here, and they don't know. You know, I'm telling everything that's happening here in this country, but they don't know enough about Israel because all they know it's, you know, from the news. And even when I was in Ethiopia before I moved to Israel, all I heard was like very, you know, bad and sad things. So for me, going there and just tell, you know, the real Israel with the racism, with everything that we have, but how special is this country and how important is Israel for the whole area here, and you know how developed is Israel. And so yeah, I do Hasbara, and also yeah, I think I will go to the politics. I study politics, and but not now, at least. In a couple of years.
Well, we talked about I'm gonna join your party.
Yay.
Okay. We spoke about you as a role model, but I've heard you speak about some of your role models, and one of the ones that really jumped out to me, and especially relevant because here we're a group of Christians and Jews together, is you spoke about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. as being one of your role models. Why is he even on your radar, and why is he a role model for you?
Well, he is Dr. Luther King. Every person in the world, I think, know him or should know him. What he did in his life, just to change the situation, and he fight against the racism, and he was really smart. Like, to listen to him, to listen to his speeches. He's such an amazing leader, and he changed everything in the U.S. And yeah, I love Dr. Martin Luther King. I think he was real leader, you know, and I hope I will be like maybe 0.5% of what he was, you know. I really appreciate them, and also like I have Obama that I met, and he's also my role model because to get when he gets and the way he lived, you know, in his life, and he achieved every dream. So for me, and I met him, by the way, I met him here when he came to visit in the first visit that he did in Israel. I met him with Shimon Peres, our late president, and I think just to be present in his, you know, he was the first Black president of the US. So I was super excited, and I really appreciate everything that he have done, and he did, and he doing, like, you know, everything that he did until he got to the point that he was a president. You know,
It's a
he
good
fight his
qualification.
dreams. Yeah.
Yeah.
He have his goals. He dream big, and I want to be like him. I want to dream big, and you know, if you, I think Herzl say that. I don't know how to say it in English, but im tirtzen zagada. I don't know. Maybe you can
if you
translate.
will, it is no dream. This is one
Yeah.
of the famous sayings of Theodor Herzl, the founder of modern
Yeah.
Zionism. Sure.
Yeah. So Dr. Martin Luther King and Barack Obama, and there's a list, but they are my two top role models.
Very nice. Very nice. Okay, now I just want to, there are more questions we're going to get to. So and I appreciate everyone sending them, some really good questions. And I want to try and merge them together. But I have one more before we kind of go into some wrap up and announcements and more formal questions. We spoke about it the other day. Your name, Yityish, in Amharic, means look or looking,
Nice, you say,
right? I practiced. It means look or looking forward, right? And I think you even spoke about how it was even deliberate that your mother gave you that name. But looking forward, you're now still in your 20s. You've got a long, God willing, a long life and successful life and loads of happiness. But if we're having this conversation in 5 years or 10 years or 25 years, where do you see yourself? Where do you want to be?
Well, I want to live in Herzliya. I'm joking. I hope I will have my own family, kids, and you know, you will meet me in my home with my kids, and probably I will be on TV or on the Knesset. You know, being a politician, it's not something that I'm dream of. I'm just feeling that if you want to change and to make a better life for people, and you need to be there. This is the makom to change, the place to change the,
sure,
you know. And yeah, I guess you will meet me in my house with my kids and with the, you know, on TV, on the Knesset. I don't know. I didn't decide yet.
Well, we look forward to checking in back with you. Titi, if you will, stay with us. I have questions. I want to give some other people an opportunity to send their questions. But before we do, I want to take a minute. Remember, we talked at the beginning of this, before I got thrown off the internet, about that we're also using this as an opportunity to launch the Genesis 1, 2, 3 campaign to rescue and not rehabilitate, restore the Ethiopian Jews here in Israel. And I want to take a few minutes just to share with people. There are a number of people who are on this meeting following, and who I may ask to come on and speak about this in a minute. But we're doing this as an appeal, not just for money, but for participation. We really want to make this something that has a big impact, and kind of, in a sense, fulfills a little bit of the vision that Titi has, that in 5 years, or if not in 10 years, we're really not going to be talking about problems of racism. The Ethiopian community will be completely integrated and normal, as it should be. So our campaign's unique on a few levels to rescue and restore the Ethiopian Jews in Israel. First of all, we're bringing together Jews and Christians to work collaboratively in a way that's completely unique. Other organizations are doing this, but not at that same level. And we're filling a gap. Asher, I'm going to maybe call on you to talk about this for a moment. But there are many needs, and not a lot of global organizations that are really taking on the need now, especially with 2,000 new immigrants arriving and several thousand who we hope to bring home One of the things also, we're engaging existing communities, not looking to create new programs, not looking to plant a stake in the ground and say, this is our territory, but really to support those that are doing the best work, the most credible work, and are making the biggest impact already. And we've done a lot of work in the last few months to put that team and that organization together and feel really good about it. So in that sense, we're raising the bar so that I believe if we're successful, everyone will do more together. And that we'll have the widest number of people and organizations across the board participating. And of course, in a fundraising component, we want everyone to participate, but this is not a major gifts campaign. We're not twisting arms. We're not asking anyone to go out and take out a big mortgage, but really on a very basic grassroots level, to get a lot of pastors involved, a lot of rabbis involved, churches and synagogues and Jewish federations and ministries of all denominations, businesses, to everyone participate at a level that's very, from most perspectives, very modest, at a $500 or $1,000 and up. We're asking people also, and for any of you here, this is a direct appeal, to participate, to join us, of course, financially, but help us get more people to do exactly that. And by getting dozens and then hundreds and then a couple of thousand people to step up and make this commitment in the next few months, we will see that success. We'll see hundreds of thousands of dollars or more. And again, that's going to go to the people doing the best work in the communities, in Netanya, Titi, where you're from, and in your community, and with Usher, and I know we've got Bobby and Adrian from Ariel University and others. You'll forgive me if I'm missing anybody because I don't see everyone on screen at the moment. So I'm not asking for everyone to make a commitment now on any of it, but I am asking for people to make an intellectual and emotional commitment to be part of this and be in touch with us directly to do so. To that level, just literally 2 minutes. I think, do I see Pastor Blake Lorenz still on in Orlando? Blake, are you there? Pastor Blake Lorenz is a good friend. He called me the other day. He said, Jonathan, guess what? Beverly, who's his wife, told him about this great program we're doing to support Ethiopian Jews, and we have money left over from, not left over, but dedicated from the golf outing that they just did in Orlando, and they want to give it to a program for Ethiopians. What are we doing? Maybe Blake's not on here anymore. So, okay, so I just gave away his story. I'm not seeing any of the rabbis who are our partners yet. Asher, you're one of our beneficiaries. Talk for a minute about, sorry?
Am I?
You will be, God willing. We got to get a lot of money, and then we're going to give it to you, and other really important projects. What are the, really quickly, not for a whole commercial, but what are the needs, and why does a campaign like what we're talking about, bringing everyone together, why does that resonate? Why does that work for you?
First, it's very problematic to speak after Titi.
Oh, come on.
It's very, very problematic. I'm still in aftershock. I love Titi, and she's doing a great job of representing us all over the globe, not only as Ethiopian, but also as Israeli. So, yeah. So, yeah, dear. About your question, you know, one of the things that my generation, at least, thinking about what the crucial thing, we agree about one thing, I mean, related to the Ethiopian community in Israel, is that we don't want to leave all the problems, challenges to our kids. This is the thing that everybody agrees. All the social activists, all the organizations, it's crucial that this generation will change the situation of the community, so our kids will be, you know, a very good and positive Israeli, you know, contributor to Israel. Livnot uleibanot ba. I guess this is the only thing that we agree about, and now is the time. I mean, now is the time to make the big changes. We don't want, none of us want our kids to deal with racism in Israel,
Right.
with the issue of being black in a white society, and we need to change it. If there is a one way to do it, I'm not sure. Definitely not. There's a lots of activists, a lot of organizations, a lot of supporters who working with the community since the days of Aliyah, before the Aliyah even. A group of activists from the US, which one of them I saw here on the name, my dear friend Will Rickant, among his friends with the American Association for Ethiopian Jews. And also in Israel, definitely in Israel. So I believe, and this is my perspective, is that it's good that lots of people helping the community or supporting the community, but my perspective is the community needs to rebuild itself as a community.
Great. Well,
okay.
No,
if it's answering your question.
No, it's a great answer to the question, and I'm glad that you spoke, because I want people to see that as far as us doing our due diligence and bringing on beneficiaries who are making a difference, who are doing the work, and it's nice to be able to feature you. I overlooked in the names, and you'll forgive me, I'm going to move on. Looking right above you on my screen right now, I see Rabbi Peter Tarlow in Texas. Rabbi Tarlow represents this, correct me if I get the name wrong, the Center for Latino-Jewish Relations.
That's correct.
Good,
yes,
I'm glad
sir.
I got it right. And they were one of the early organizations that stepped up to join and commit. I think we even received the check already.
Did. I made sure it got out to you.
We did. So what's interesting is not only you're not only dealing with Jewish and Christian people, but Jews and Latinos, some of whom are Christian and some of whom aren't. So
that's right.
Tell us for a minute, when you had that board meeting and discussed the allocation to this project for Genesis 123 Ethiopian Rescue and Restoration, what was that conversation like? Were people enthusiastic? Did they need education? How are we successfully building these bridges?
Well, first of all, I'm sure Titi will also be very happy to hear that we had no opposition. So everyone agreed 1, 2, 3. And I think it's because it's so close to our own mission. Our center works with two groups of people, for Latinos who happen to be Christian and want to work with the Jewish community, how we can support each other. But secondly, there are a large number of Latinos who are of Jewish heritage, many of who were forced in what's called conversos, or in Hebrew, bnei anusim, who were forced to give up their heritage and are only now rediscovering that. And to a great extent, when we thought about the role of the Jews in Ethiopia, many of those people also lived under very difficult conditions for many thousands of years. And so our people, meaning from the Center for Latino-Jewish Relations, felt a kindred spirit with the people from Ethiopia coming home. And every year we bring, well, this year we didn't because of COVID, but hopefully, God willing, when everything opens up again, we will start bringing again key Latino leaders to Israel. And one of the things I say to them is in Spanish, yo quiero que se sientan en casa. I want you to feel at home. And our theme is, if I'm not from, it's from Hillel, im ein ani li mili, kishani la atzmi ma'ani, im lo achshav imatai. If I'm not for myself, who will be for me? If I'm only for myself, what am I? If not now, when? Nice. So when we had the chance to do something to help, we immediately said, im lo achshav imatai. If not now, when? So that was kind of our thematic. And I'm hoping, Titi, that when I bring people again to Israel, when the doors open up again, that maybe we'll be able to come and meet you. Because I think your story would really be wonderful for people from the Latino community to see what Israel is doing. So if you would grace us, I don't know quite yet when we can get there, but I would certainly be thrilled if you would spend a little time with our people.
Of course, I would love to do it. And also my best friend, her name is Angela, she's from Colombia. So
Oh, perfect. Both of you come.
Yeah, we will come, both of us. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
There are a lot of people to acknowledge. Will Recant, thank you for that lovely message. And maybe we'll have you back another time to actually
speak. It'll be my pleasure. And I'm going to have to leave because my granddaughter is expecting me, and I have to go now to switch to become a grandpa.
Go, enjoy.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Mazal tov, and I hope you guys earn a lot of money and do lots of good for the Ethiopian community in Israel.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, this is the goal.
We're rooting for you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for your part of your leadership and the Center for Latino Jewish
it's our pleasure.
Relation. Will, again, you and I have to talk. Will Recant knows the community and the needs and the history as well as anyone, as a old colleague and friend who we need to spend some time reconnecting. But I just want to take some time acknowledging today is our formal launch. We've been very pleased by the early media response to this, the whole idea of Jews and Christians working together, the grassroots nature, all of these things that people can come in and make a difference for a relatively small amount. I jotted down, and I hate doing this because I know I forget people in the process, but I wanted just to acknowledge some of the people who stepped up early. I mentioned Pastor Blake Lorenz, whose church made a commitment from Florida. Rabbi David Wolpe at Sinai Temple in Los Angeles, Rabbi Andrew Bush, who I thought was supposed to, I guess, missed us tonight in Baltimore, Dr. Scott Baum and the Memphis Friends of Israel, which is also Jews and Christians coming together. It's wonderful. Rabbi Vernon Kurtz, who's in Israel but represents the North Suburban Synagogue Beth El in suburban Chicago. Rabbi Peter Berg at the Temple, which in Atlanta, which is a significant place because for those of you who know the history of the Temple in Atlanta, it's the site of a bombing in 1958 because the rabbi and the community had so supported the civil rights movement and opposing racism that was so much a part of Southern society in the United States then, that the synagogue was almost entirely blown up. So we're really grateful to have the rabbinic successor and that community be part of what we're doing. The Barak Raviv Foundation, Dr. Tim and Virginia Shepard. We've had some pastors in the Philippines. I know I'm forgetting some, and that's why I hate doing this, but I wanted just to give a sense of the diversity. Before we literally wrap up, there have been some great questions, and I'm glad I waited. I don't know if we have time for all of them, but two I want to merge together. Titi, we have a good friend, Bishop Glenn Plummer, who's here in Israel. I'm sure when you were speaking about Dr. King, he was listening because in many ways he is Dr. King's successor, certainly vis-a-vis Dr. King's outreach and views on Israel. So he's here and his ministry to build relations between the Black church in America, young African Americans, with Israel, and specifically Ethiopian Israelis. And his question, which I want to merge with the next question, is what kind of relationship would you like to see with young African Americans and Ethiopian Israelis? And then the next question, which is very, very similar, but from a different part of the world, also good friend Bishop Daniel Uma in Tanzania is saying, congratulations on loving Israel. I don't know if you mean it like this, even though you're also an African, how would you help unify Israel and Africa and people in Africa who do not know about Israel? So maybe those are two very different questions, but Titi, between relationships with young African Americans and Africans in Africa who don't know about Israel, what's your vision?
I feel like many of our Ethiopian culture, the music that we're listening and everything, it's come from the hip hop. So I feel like here, I hear that the youngest people in my community feeling like they're super connected and they're listening. They're walking. Their closets the hip hop culture like in the US. So there is a similarity. I think it will be great if we will having here Black students, like African American students to here to Israel, and just like to do, you know, students
exchange.
תודה רבה. I think like to do something like that, just to open the Israel, the country here, as through the universities, and student exchange is something that I'm thinking about, and you know, just to come to visit, and also maybe to send to missions in Africa, the community here, the Israelis also, and because when you are meeting someone and when you have conversation with someone one-on-one, you can talk and you can share information. So I believe in these two ways we can make a better relationship between, you know, between the countries.
Great answer. Great, and a very warm, positive vision. You mentioned universities, and in the interest of time, I'm not going to invite my friend Bobby Brown to speak, but Bobby Brown and Adrian are with Ariel University, also one of our intended beneficiaries, doing great work with Ethiopian students there. So Bobby, I know you're listening and making notes, and we will certainly follow up on that. Before we close out, I want to invite back my good friend TJ, Thomas Lee Johnson, who was good enough to not just be with us and do everything great that he does, but pitch in when the power went out. And sometimes we feel like we're in a third world country with the power. For those who were not part of the earlier conversation when I introduced TJ, in addition to being a good friend, I mean, I don't remember how many years ago, but it was right around now because it was before Passover and you came to the house and we had burgers.
9 years ago.
And we've just been 9 years. Okay, so we've just been good friends since then, and a blessing. And it's wonderful having you part of my life and vice versa, but also you and your support of what we're doing. And all of your talents, but I'm just so excited, and I wanted to share it because I'm so excited when the Albert and Paul movie comes out. You telling that story of the friendship between Albert Einstein and Paul Robeson. I can't wait for that. Yeah, especially if I'll be an extra in the movie. That'll be amazing. But I invited TJ not just to be my co-host in the event that we lost power, but to also close us with prayer. We're Jews and Christians together, and we revere not just the same God, but the God. And so TJ, inspire us.
Absolutely. Toda, Jonathan. Amaset Ginelo, Titi.
Very nice. Wow.
Yeah. It is a privilege to talk to our Lord together. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Ekat, Vehavta et Adonai Eloheka, Beku Lavaka, Uveku Nafsheka, Uveku Mahudeka. Messiah, we love you. We thank you for this moment that we can be together. We worship you in one accord. We thank you for blessing all the many, many dreams, hopes, aspirations, moments of desperation, despair, weeping, tears. We acknowledge that there has been wells and wells of tears. But you say that you give us the oil of joy for mourning and the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness. God, we expect you to do great things in our future. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, TJ. Amazing. Friends, new friends, old friends, thank you for joining. I hope that as I introduced at the outset that this was indeed as inspiring and interesting as we expected and intended it would be. I know for me, it's always a pleasure. We hope to have you back. Hope you'll join us on other Inspiration from Zion programs, but mostly right now we're going to be putting our shoulder really into lifting to raise some money and support lots of important programs for the Ethiopian community. And I hope that you'll be in touch with me individually, and we can do this together. So thank everybody for joining. I apologize to everyone whose questions I did not get to. We will have you back, and I look forward to being in touch on an individual basis. Have a wonderful, warm day wherever you are. Don't lose power, and God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you very much. It was very, very interesting.
you.
Nice to